A very pleasant Tuesday morning to you. Welcome once again to Untengle. Want to say a very special good morning to you, Richie B. Have yourself a wonderful day. Want to say a special good morning to Odile and the entire Up and Go team. You see the team getting bigger and stronger. So have yourselves a wonderful day, you all. And of course, thanks for joining us on the Bridge 99 FM for those listening on the frequencies and also for those watching us on the internet. Thank you very much for joining us. Want to say a very special afternoon to my guest. You're Odile, right?
That is right. I'm Odile.
Odile. All right. Wonderful. All right. So, let us start at the very beginning. You have a very interesting story. I'm trying to get in as much as possible in this short space of time. Quickly, just tell us exactly where you're from and a little bit about your school life and them kind of something there.
Okay, so I was born and raised in St. Catherine, Dongabagwak. I don't know if anybody knows, but Gube, I was born on the floor in Gube.
Gube.
In those days, Gube.
All right.
Or Gube.
Okay.
Proper English, Gube.
Okay.
That is there in St. Catherine. And then I moved around a lot. So I landed in Bogwalk at one point with amazing Miss Cherry. Lord, I love that woman. So I did most of my childhood years there in Bogwalk. After that, for my tertiary education, I went to UWI. I did journalism there at on the Mona campus. After Mona, I went to work at RGR as producer and reporter there. And shortly after that, I pack up my things and catch one plane and come to Japan. So that's where I currently am now. You said the beginning.
No, but Odile, you catch one plane and take a long flight to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
All
yes.
right. Okay, wonderful. So thank you very much for that background, right? Okay, so where do I begin now? So I know that you studied at the University of the West Indies. I know you had a difficult childhood. What's new? I mean, we're living in a traumatic space. So you were also, a victim of the traumatic space that we live in. One thing I found exciting, Odile, is that you were conscious enough because of your information and education or / both, you were conscious enough that based on the trauma that you experienced as a child, you needed to understand yourself and the trauma either before having a child on your own or while mothering this child. What was it about your background that made you so sure that you could not mother this child without first checking out what was happening within you?
Mm-hmm. The beautiful thing about persons who have gone through trauma, whether it be male or female, is that we are so conscious of the pain that we feel, the emotional turmoil that we're going through. And based on the interviews that I've done with other parents or guardians, caregivers who have had that experience, is that we are conscious and aware that we've been through some harsh realities, and it is so we're more in tune with what that is. And so whether it be, for example, we realize, hey, I can't ever have a child. I don't want to have a child because I don't ever want them to experience what I've experienced in my life. Or after having the child, maybe not planned, like in my case, we also realize that, hey, I feel too broken to raise a child. That's where I was coming from, at least. Persons who have been through trauma, I find that we are aware that our pain can mess things up, that are bringing an intergenerational trauma that was passed down to us is predisposed within us. And
Absolutely.
It's terrifying.
It is.
Because we don't want a child to be in that situation that we've been through.
Right. Before we talk about intergenerational trauma, let's talk about conscious parenting. I found this very interesting because as parents, we just think that we parent. But a lot of times, and these are words that are coming into our language in our conversations more and more each day, conversations that have words like intentional,
Yes.
conscious, because it
Yes.
makes a very big difference. Because when you're parenting and you're conscious of parenting, it's different. No matter how wonderful a parent you are, it's different from just parenting. Explain the difference to
Yes.
us.
Okay. So conscious parenting is basically bringing an awareness to a child's developmental stages. Um, so it's understanding that there is a natural process through which your child is going to transition, and understanding what that child needs during those years of transition that allows them to be that whole, complete, good contributing citizen. So a person that is fully themselves, who feel comfortable in who they are. So conscious parenting is allowing your child to successfully transition through those natural stages of development. So when you understand those stages, you're better able to meet their needs at such a stage. And I'll give you an example. For example, there is the identity stage. That's where a child is trying out different identities, trying to get a feel of who they really are outside of their parents. So that identity stage usually starts between the ages of 3 to 4. So that's where my son is at. He's at that identity stage. So you'll see a lot of kids doing more role play, maybe put on mommy's shoes, or maybe that little boy wants to put on your lip gloss too because he sees mommy doing that, or he wants to put on daddy's trousers, or he wants to be a Batman or a Superman. But what a child needs at that stage isn't shaming, right? No, go take that off. Hey, you're just getting married, is no sister on it. Right. What that does is that it shames the child. And so when they get growing to being adults, they are within themselves, they're always afraid. They lack the confidence, they don't know who they are, they're trying to find themselves
Mm-hmm.
because they never got the chance to experiment, to experience. Or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there are persons, especially in our culture, we're very conscious, I don't want to raise a child who is gay. But oftentimes that may manifest because at that age they never got the chance to to be feminine, which is part of their DNA. But because we shame them, they never get the chance to fully explore the context of that developmental stages.
I
So they
agree
get
with you.
stuck in it.
I agree
They
with you
get stuck in
100%.
it.
But you know
Yeah.
something though, as you talk, Odile, what is very important also, as we raise this child and give them options and give them examples of who they could be, it is very important to create a balance of male and female. Because oftentimes if we just have one sex parent doing the parenting, the child sometimes gravitates towards that and their peculiarities, and they not necessarily would have been that way if they had both parents to balance them. Do you agree?
Elise, I utterly agree. And this is where the consciousness also comes in. Um,
Absolutely.
and this is where my work also comes in because here it is. For example, I'm a single mom, and as also a conscious parent and someone who is also healing her trauma as well, I am cognizant of the fact that my child needs both. So as a conscious parent, I get male figures, exemplary male figures, males that I can trust, people who have good characters to come around and interact with my child. So, for example, I invite friends over for a sleepover that are males whom I trust, and they are able to have that one on one play with my son. His name is Kamin. And also, his dad is there in the picture that comes through from time to time to build that relationship. But that is extremely vital. We're creating a village. It takes a village.
It
You're not
does.
your child's only influence.
No,
So
absolutely.
it's understanding the stage, especially, I think one of the most difficult stages for parents is when the child hits the intimacy, sexual stage. That's
Yes.
around from about 12 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's when your teenager is more drawn to, like, your girl child is more drawn to a male, or the same sex, or whatever it may be. And it becomes a very challenging time. That's because we cannot parent a child through a stage that we weren't fully parented through. So
Absolutely.
consciousness is bringing awareness to that stage and understanding what they need. They need the safety, and safety isn't just about where you live. That is important, but safety is being able to have a dialogue with mommy and daddy. And dialoguing doesn't mean being spoken to. It's being spoken with, and learning, how do I mirror? How do I validate? How do I empathize? Because that's where the healing comes through for your kids. And
Right.
whatever you give to your kids, Elise, when you give them that time, when you give them that love and that patience, you also give that to yourself.
I
So
love
that's
that.
also where the healing process is at.
Okay, I get that. And it is very important. There is something that you mentioned, and it's intergenerational trauma. With all the
Yeah.
love, with all the attention that you just spoke about a while ago, if you have not healed, and I think this is where a lot of parents kind of, get shaky, because if you have not healed, you kind of
Yes.
not sure exactly how to love, how to bond, because you have not experienced that. So it is very important, don't you think, that your healing, whether it is while you're raising the child or before or whenever, but your personal healing is vital to what should I
Yes.
to stopping that intergenerational trauma, or at least intercepting it.
Yes, it is. It is extremely vital, Elise. If I didn't intervene in my own trauma, because I was raised where you spank kids, I've never had to spank my son. But when I speak, he understand what I'm saying, and he I create boundaries for him. And the thing is that many parents aren't sure how to create healthy boundaries for their child. And so that's also something that we look at in the program that I have. But the thing is, you can never give something that you don't have. So it's important to look at yourself. And if you're in a marriage also, it's very important to use your marriage as the healing space. A
Mm-hmm.
marriage is so much more than two persons coming together in love and whatever it may be. It's a union that is healing. And for example, for single parents, part of the process, that the first step is that you need to find a healing partner. Your child is not, it's is not your healer. Your child is not your savior. So sometimes when you're about to have a kid, you need to ask yourself why. Is it that you're trying to fill a void? Is it that you are so you are so lonely that you need somebody to, if that's where it comes from, you're going to wound your child, because your child
Absolutely.
is always you're always looking to your child for that level of completion, when you need to figure out your own completion by figuring out what you need and giving yourself what you need, so that you can better give your child what he or she needs. So you need someone to be your healing partner, someone that you can talk things through, and someone that is someone who is not afraid of you, meaning that they're not going to envy you when you start making progress in your life. Someone who is able to listen, Elise.
Right.
Many persons can't listen, they're always listening to answer. Someone who is not
Okay.
there to give you an advice, they're just there as a conscious present, just there, just
Right.
just right there
Right.
with you,
Holding space with you.
listening, just holding space, man. You're holding hands, but you're not say a thing. But you feel so relieved at the end of the day.
All right. You said
And
something that's very important. You said that your child is not your healer. And you know as well as I do that oftentimes broken women and men, but particularly
yes,
women, want to have a child to bridge that gap of not ever feeling loved. And what
hmm,
I'm sure you realize is that you tend, when you're in that space, to want your child to be who you want them to be rather than who
yes,
they actually are. And
Exactly.
and that's the danger of making your child your own healer. So let us talk very briefly now about techniques that you have used and how you have helped other parents to understand exactly how to consciously parent.
So, if I could give you my top three things. So the first thing I mentioned it quite briefly. The first thing is that you need a healing buddy. Persons who have had traumatic experiences, especially women, we go into a phase where it's difficult for us to trust. And there is just a natural inclination for us as within our own humanity to want to connect with other people, to want to share a space. So we need that vitamin C, that vitamin connect. So the first thing is that you need to find somebody that you can trust, whether it be a therapist, a very close friend, a very close relative. Find someone you can trust. And if you can't find it, you need to start developing it. So that's the first thing that you need to do if you're a single parent, or if you're in a marriage, is retingling that trust with your husband and partner as you go through the healing process, because they're the ones who are going to give you a hug when you need one. They're the ones that's going to give you the ears when you need one. Another tool that is really, really vital is journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling. Again, Elise, these things seem easy. However, there are processes and steps. There are questions that you ask to stimulate a different kind of healing in the process. Um, so there is journaling, there is spiritual stuff like meditation, um, or for example, there are different exercises that you can go through in rebuilding the cerebellum, because there are actually different parts of the brain that are responsible for your emotions and how you feel. And oftentimes, as parents, we get trapped in our feelings or trauma. And like it's so chaotic on the inside for us. So learning different techniques to rebuild the cerebellum and creating rewiring your brain and creating new neurons and creating interruptions. So there are different techniques to create interruptions in our normal way of thinking, in
Mm-hmm.
our normal way of feeling. So I
Mm-hmm.
also delve a little bit into that, but each process or each technique is based on the parent and where they're at and what is
Right.
it that they're trying to achieve the most.
Right. Do the parents that you talk to or do the parents that you interact with recognize how important it is to be conscious when they're parenting as opposed to just being a good parent?
Yeah, yeah. And again, one of the things that, again, it's like once you have a little trauma, I found that with most of the persons I've spoken to, um, they are conscious. Seven out of 10 realize that their trauma and their pain has been affecting the way that they parent. And as we go throughout the process and explaining the developmental stage, and that's when they're better able to say, oh, no, I understand who I have
Right.
to become to facilitate the changes and the growth within
Right.
my child. Oh, now I see how I was wounded at this stage. I never got the chance
Ah,
to explore myself. This was a time when I was raped, or this was a time when, so this is why it's so difficult for me to help my son. This is why I get so angry with my kid. So
right.
when you get into that awareness, your entire interaction changes. Instead of
Absolutely.
the normal impulse to shout, you just stop instantly and say,
Right.
why am I shouting? Does this require me to shout? And they realize, actually, no.
Yes, yes.
So, how do I connect and redirect my child if they're doing something that they're just not supposed to do? So,
Okay, I'm listening to you and I'm loving every minute of it. My only concern, though, Odile, is that
yes.
you are in Japan. Do you get a
Mhm.
chance to help Jamaican parents? Come in, know where Japanese parents them go through, but me know where we go through down here. Do you get a chance to actually help the people that you know how they were raised? You know all of the trauma that they went through with their parents. Do you get that chance?
Most definitely. Actually, I'm not. culture, it's a little bit different here in Japan. Even though this stimulated the whole program, because there has been a high suicide rate among kids and women. And when I delve deeper into it, is that their trauma is a little different. Yeah, they may not have been raped or abused, but their trauma manifests itself into something different. But most of the persons I've spoken to are Jamaicans,
Oh, I'm
because
glad.
the
Good.
beautiful thing about that is that I do one-on-one. And just like now I'm talking to you, Elise, on Zoom, that's how I get in touch with people.
Okay.
So they look up on my Calendly, see the available time slots that I have, book a free conversation, and then we take it from there.
Okay.
So right now it's all virtual, Elise, all
Right.
virtual. So
Right.
Canada, America, Japan, Jamaica, wherever in the world you are, if you realize that there is a part of you that feels broken, or what's the beautiful thing too is, Elise, is that if you have grown kids and you realize that you wounded them and you want to try and help bridge that, I'm here to work with you as well.
I
So
love
it's all
that.
virtual.
I love the fact that that parents who have grown children who have recognized that based on their own traumas they have hurt their children can correct that. That's wonderful. Absolutely
It
wonderful.
is.
We're
It
running
really,
out of
really
time.
is.
We're running out of time, Odile.
Okay.
No. I'm so sorry we're running out of time. But just thank you so very much for sharing with us. And the last thing I want to know, is there a website? Is there a Facebook page? Is there anything like that that people listening who want to have a one-on-one with you can go to?
Okay, so I have a Facebook group called Parents Healing from Childhood Trauma. That's the Facebook group. And then there is also the Instagram page. They're all revamping, coming up. But there's the Instagram page called Parents Who Heal. So those are the two main ways that persons can get in touch with me at the moment and get access to resources that they can use either on their own or with someone else as well.
Wonderful. We've been having a lot of conversations like this, and we just cannot have enough because the space that we're in, we were not really exposed to coaching and to that kind of thing. So we really
Yes.
need to help our people here in Jamaica even more to understand that they can be healed, they need healing, we all do, and how to go about it. Thank you so very much for your passion.
Oh,
And
thank you.
send my love to your son.
Oh, thank you.
And
He's there sleeping. It's 2 a.m.
oh my goodness. and continue to be a conscious parent and continue to help other people to do what they do with intention, because that is so much stronger than just doing what they do.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Elise. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Awesome work, amazing work, and I hope and we'll meet again.
Yes, we
What
will.
good.
You too. I love them other one. Wonderful. What a wonderful conversation this has been, and we've been having others like these, and it's just wonderful. We can't have too many conversations like this. So thanks again to Odile Blake, single mother, life coach, and thanks for the conversation about intergenerational trauma and conscious parenting. It's a conversation that we have to have every single day with all the people around us, and most importantly, with ourselves.
Good afternoon, Mama Kelly.
Good afternoon, Beauregard. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm doing great. I'm in a lovely mood today. Today I'm a son's birthday.
Oh, nice, man.
Yes.
What today is the 8th of February?
February, yes.
Okay.
Yes, he turns 14, my third son.
Okay.
Yes.
Your third son? How many sons you have, if you don't mind me asking?
I have 4 sons. The oldest being 22.
The oldest being how much?
22.
How many sons you have?
4.
Look here. A football field by youth. 6 aside.
Well, I'm trying. I'm going to stop trying now.
No, stop. Please. Please. Whoa! You know
Yes.
something? Trust me. You barely look like you're 22 and you have 22-year-old son. Lord have his mercy. That's nice though. So it's his birthday today.
Yes, the 14-year-old, Makai. Is his
Okay,
name.
it was Makai's birthday. Happy birthday, Makai. Little more was a Bob Marley picnic.
May I tell you?
All right. So we over this side. I just crime and more crime. Police drop
Why?
down upon the work. Appear them there's something there. So here what we're going to know, Beauregard.
Yes.
Your thing.
All right, let me kick it off like this. Speaking of schools, and my son is at school today and enjoying his birthday with friends. School mandates are going to be dropped in 4 states. The mask mandates are going to be dropped in 4 states. New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, and Oregon all announced that they will be dropping the mask mandates. And Oregon will be the first to do so, I believe, March 31st. So that's a good thing. A lot of states now, and some of these states being democratic states, states that, the president is democratic and is a Democrat. And, some of these states are coming down off the mask mandates now. So that's a good look.
Is it because the American is receding, if that is the right word? What is the real reason?
That's a major reason right now behind it. They're saying that all these things, all the cases are subsiding, and the cases are becoming fewer and fewer as the days go by.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Wonderful.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it is a wonderful thing.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the students have been going through a lot. They felt almost faceless, because I talk to my children and they say that they haven't seen some of their friends' face in weeks.
Oh goodness.
So it's real crazy. They're getting back to some sense of normalcy.
You mean because of the mask, they haven't seen their friends' face? I'm just getting what you said,
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
They have to have on the mask in class, and then when you walk the hallways, it's the same thing. So you might pass a friend in the hallway and not know you're passing them.
Yeah, that happens. It happens.
Yes.
For real. Go ahead.
Another case that we're watching very closely is the killing of another black man in Minneapolis, Minnesota by police. He's 22 years old and his name is Amir Locke. Now, this one is very frightening because the police, they actually had a no-knock warrant, a warrant that they call no-knock. They don't have to knock upon entering. Now, in this case, the body cam footage showed that the police officers, they had a key to enter the apartment. And when they entered the apartment, they saw the young man sleeping on the couch. And in all of the noise and all the commands that they were giving and the flashlights in his face, and he had a gun, which was a licensed gun, and he reached for the gun. And upon reaching for the gun, they shot him within 9 seconds of entering the apartment. They didn't even say drop the gun or anything like that. They didn't give him any commands to put down the weapon or anything. When you wake up, everybody disoriented when you wake up. It takes you a few seconds to get to your senses and know what's actually happening around you. So them busting into the apartment within 7 to 9 seconds, the young man was dead.
So hold on a little bit now. This no-knock warrant, is it for only a certain space? What gives them this kind of power?
It's in some states. It's the same way in which Breonna Taylor was killed, with the same type of warrant. Minnesota being one of those states to have that no-knock warrant as a part of the police department policy. Now, since the Breonna Taylor case, they have said that they were going to do away with the no-knock warrant thing. And they in the time leading up to this new shooting, the police department has actually requested up to about 90 more no-knock warrants, even though they said they were going to do away with it.
Oh my goodness.
So it's real crazy.
So the police have a key for your apartment now? With the no-knock warrant?
I don't know who they got the key from, and the thing is, the young man that was in the apartment is not who they were looking for.
Don't tell me that.
Nobody in the apartment is who they were looking for.
So they killed an innocent person who they weren't looking for?
Yes.
Oh my goodness me.
The same state where they killed George Floyd. I believe it's the same police department.
Oh my goodness.
So it's
Oh
real
my
crazy right now.
goodness.
Black History Month really got off to a bad start in some sense.
Oh my goodness. The whole world is a mess,
Mm-hmm.
The whole so it's not the right person them looking for. Them have a key for this man apartment. So how them have a key for the wrong man apartment?
I don't know where they acquired the key, but the video showed them using the key to open the door. So which gave them easy access. And I never understood why police execute warrants in the wee hours of the morning. I just feel like it's more dangerous than anything else. Because people are asleep and you busting into somebody's house, the first thing somebody gonna think is somebody will come for rob them and kill them.
Probably, let me tell you something, Isiboriga. It's the very same reason that you are wondering why them do it. It's the very same reason why them do it. Them do it because of the very same reason why we wondering why them do it.
I mean, daylight is so much more easier. You see everything much more clear. Right? The nighttime does, bare shadows. You don't know what going on.
You
I
know,
don't
some
know
of
why they choose night
me
to
no
do these
know.
things.
Beauregard, Thursday me got give for we news. Me can't, no sir. Phone the
man.
news. Is it phone the news? Is it for we news? At least a free fault, so we can correct it. Is it phone the news? Oh no can't no go correct phone the news. Free news are just abuse and cruelty and them thing there on our part most of the time. Of course, we have police issues too, but and we have issues like that too. But we actually now have key where you open the people door and when you open the door, you shoot the man and the wrong man. Them thing they come in like execution. Them thing they
Yeah, man.
trust me. So, and then of course the black people and the people them who sympathetic I go demonstrate and then what? And then what,
Yes.
Beauregard?
But one of the good things that I see with this case is that, we have people from all walks of life that are coming out and speaking, all over social media, white people, black people. Everybody's talking about, because police reform is something that they have been looking into for the last 2 years, especially with that state being where George Floyd was killed.
It's which state
so-
that?
Minnesota.
Or Minnesota.
Yes.
We have Pam Hall. We have Pam Hall as one of the women who we're going to be honoring in this Black History, in this Reggae Month. I'm sorry, but trust me, Beauregard, it is very concerning when I hear news from your side. It kind of make me feel to myself say, it's 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other because say enough people in Jamaica who have homes in the States, kind of in between them don't know which one for go. Them don't know whether they can come home or them don't know whether them for stay up there. But, it's a serious, you don't know which worse.
Well, I feel like it's worse over here now. It's much worse. I mean, you have to really and truly prepare your children when they go out in the streets. You have to tell your boys them how to deal with the police if the police should stop you. And, you just worry about, there's so much evidence over the years of what's taking place with black boys in America.
Yeah.
That, you have to really and truly prepare your boys them, like when they go out in the street, what to do, what not to do, where to go. Everybody does that. It's a generic thing for people to do all over the world. But here in America, you really have to know and train your kids how to deal with the police.
And hope it works.
Yes.
Because just being black seems to be a crime in your space.
True indeed.
No, sir, this frightening, believe you me. And you're the thing, let me tell you something, you see. Anyway, take it bad, But you see when a youth from Jamaica, I go hold you up, and I don't know if you probably have some words where you can say to him, I don't know. But when them people there, them police people there, old black people, you know, no words for say to all them there, For make them feel some kind of, empathy or something, no words for say, come for kill you.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, very sad.
A lot of us think that the good ones are here to serve and protect, but the others are here to just protect our system.
Yeah, for real. Want to say condolences to the inspector who fell down on the job. And may I tell you the truth, you see like all the inspector here in Jamaica who fall down on the job. We still at a space, at a place here where we say condolences to him and family. But you see which part you there? We don't know if that me da say. Me don't know if that me da say.
It depends. I mean, you have some good, great police officers. I know some. So that we always big up the ones who are doing the job by the book and how they're supposed to do it and how they deal with the citizens in the streets. The good police officers, we call them. But then again, you have the rogue ones out there who do what they want.
And I guess that's anywhere. That's everywhere.
Yes.
Thanks for always reminding us of that, Beauregard, because it is true.
You're welcome.
So, Sister Pam, don't move. We're going to take a commercial break and then we're going to start our interview. And we want to welcome you, Pam, to Untangle on the Bridge 99 FM. Good afternoon, sis.
It's a pleasure being here.
Wonderful.
And, and a long time we not talk.
Don't.
No speak. Yeah. So it's good. It's all good.
Nice. Wonderful. It's wonderful to have you here. And I'm so happy that I got your number from Lloyd.
Yeah, man. He told me after.
After the fact. I'm so happy that we got the number that we could really pay some tribute and honor you as someone who is a powerhouse in reggae. All right. So before we even go deep into your own career, I know that you're from a musical family, and take us back to your very early days before you even started recording, and also take us to the music being an inherited family gene.
Okay, first, let me say, big up all the listeners. Sending lots of love your way. First order of business. Okay, now, I was musical from a pretty young age. And that was, it showed from I was like 2, 3 years old. And my brothers and sisters were also musical. So, no, those early days, 2, 3 years old, so 2, 3 years old, were those days were in England actually.
Okay. That's where you're born, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But nevertheless, I'm Jamaican.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I identify strongly with Jamaica. Yeah, so I remember I had a little piano. I would pick out melodies and just enjoy music. The songs on the radio, I used to enjoy them. Didn't have any Jamaican music then to listen to till I came to Jamaica for, a long time.
Okay. And for those who are listening, I know Audrey Hall. I happen to know your brother Raymond. They
Yep.
are also out there in the music fraternity, past the family thing and actually recorded. All right.
Yes, yes, indeed.
So,
And others who didn't record were still musical because they used to sing in choirs and stuff, and groups.
right. Okay. So your career as a solo recording artist actually began in the mid-70s. And for those of us who were old enough in the mid-70s, we realize that the mid-70s was a very interesting time in Jamaican history. Paint a picture for us, Pam, of the Jamaican reggae music scene from your perspective at the time as a woman.
Okay, well, at the time, I think I could safely say that I would be able to identify just about, almost all, the women in the business at that time. I have absolutely no chance of doing that now. There are so many.
Oh, wow.
And that is just awesome to see the ladies stepping up.
Right.
As in most areas of life, really, ladies are stepping forward because we didn't really have much say or play back then. So, it's good to see. So, very few ladies. And how should I describe it now? It was good for me. I was very nervous at first. Like when I first went into the studio, I said, listen, turn off the light, please.
You serious, Pam? Lock off the light.
Yeah, afraid like what? But I gradually got comfortable with it because I was accustomed to singing because I used to sing in choirs and in groups. Hardly in any solo work, but in school and in church, I sang in groups like duets, quartets, trios, choirs, and in intermediate groups. But you really couldn't get me to go sing by myself. Not then.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
And then to go into the studio is another difference.
Yes. Big something, man.
So you tell the man them to lock off the light and then lock it off?
Yeah.
I'm saying, yeah. Okay. And did that bring you more comfort? Marjorie, why am I remembering you? So did that bring you more comfort?
Yes, I don't never get to look for me.
I don't believe this. So back in those days, there were such few women in the fraternity, you're saying, that you knew all of them by name. And what was it just the fact that you're singing alone in a studio, or was it that there were just pure men in the studio and you were a little bit traumatized? Little bit.
No, I'm naturally shy.
I remember me know you're good enough, Pam.
Right.
So you're just naturally shy.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that a lot of people who are naturally shy the Most High give this awesome responsibility of going out there in the public. I'm wondering if it's some kind of way to, therapy. Oh, for your shyness, I don't know. I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
So
I had to get brave.
You had to get brave. So you stepped out in the 1970s with a lot of political unrest. I remember at the time, and we're 70s people, so I remember that people were leaving the island and going to other places, and there was a threat in quotation marks of socialism, and then you came in at a time also. May I add that Black consciousness, especially among us as Black sisters, was on the up. Was on the up. Give thanks for Michael Manley and Beverly Manley. Give thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
but I want to tell you, even before that, though, in terms of that consciousness, you could almost say was born that way, because in England we witnessed racism, and my father was a very stern man in terms of dealing with racism. So we had that kind of consciousness from a young age. So I always remember being in primary school. I was about 10 years old. And the other children were troubling this girl who was a friend of mine and saying, "You look like you come from Africa. If you're African, like it's something bad, you know?"
I remember those days.
Yeah, and she was feeling bad. And I said to them, "We are all descended from Africans. No, there's nothing wrong with that." At 10. So,
right. So you were raised in a conscious environment.
Yeah.
Got you. All right. So, it's something that I've always wanted to ask you. You've provided harmony and background vocals for several of the cream of the reggae fraternity. I want to ask you this question. It might be a little, I don't know, but I'm going to ask you about the singing background vocals. What's the difference between harmonizing with some of these greats who I'll name very soon? What's the difference between harmonizing with them and singing background vocals for them? So harmonizing in studio and doing background vocals on stage. What's the major difference?
Well, I have done background on stage, but most of my background has been in studio, and I most of the times turn down requests to do background work on stage.
Okay, why?
Because I'm a lead singer as well. And if I'm on stage with people all the while doing background vocals, the people are going to say, people who are looking for people to work on stage, I'm not going to say, "Oh, she's a good background singer, let's ask her to do a lead song."
Yes.
They're going to ask the person who's singing the lead to come and do a song. And then they're going to say, "I'm being a background singer, they're good." You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. And can I tell you something, to Pam, as you raised that issue? As someone who plays music, right, I have found that the women who are accustomed to harmonizing, whenever they give me a song, I'm not always hearing lead. I'm still hearing harmony.
Oh.
Yes.
Now that's interesting.
Yes. I don't know how it works out, sir, but it's as though they are not accustomed to taking the lead. They are accustomed to being in the background. And once you give me a song, I want to hear you take the lead. So it's very interesting that you should say that. And perhaps that is why people are not asking harmony singers to take the lead.
Wow. Hearing that now from the other side, from your perspective, that is so interesting. I never thought of that. I just said, on a practical level, if I'm singing a lot of background on stage, they're not going to call me to sing lead because I'm not singing lead.
I hear you.
Let's
think about that.
Yes, yeah, and background singers have to be very musical, and they're generally pretty good singers.
Yes, they are.
So,
Yes, they are.
I should say we.
Yes, you all are. You're all excellent singers because you can harmonize. But think about it, and perhaps you can have a conversation with your colleagues about it. Taking the lead is a totally different scenario.
Yeah, it's different.
All right. So I'm going to call some names: Jimmy Cliff, Judy Moore, Dennis Brown, Peter Tosh, Beresford Hammond, Toots Hibbert. And all these names that I've called, and I'm sure many more, you have harmonized, you have probably been on stage with. What are some of your fondest memories working with one or any of the names that I just called?
Well, with all the names you called, I've been on stage with them, sharing stage as lead artists as well. You know? So I've been on as a separate artist on stage with Dennis Brown, Judy, all the names.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a, how should I put it now? It's a kind of warm, kind of total relationship of singing lead with them on stage as a solo artist, and then still working together with them. Because when you're doing harmony, well, for me anyway, when I'm doing harmony in the studio on somebody else's track, I get really intimately involved and have knowledge of their voices, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I adjust the mood to what the theme of the music is about and stuff, you know?
Yeah. I hear that is so clearly. Can I tell you something, Pam? No matter how softly you sing in harmony, once I get a track with Pam Hall's voice in it, I identify it immediately. Because
yeah, people tell me that all the time. Man.
Yes, man, because there's a distinct sound that Pam Hall has, that no matter how laid back you are, and no matter how you make that lead singer take the lead, one note from Pam Hall, and I can tell, is you. And that's a good thing.
I guess so. People tell me it all the time. And I just see myself as, I don't see myself as being very different, but then I'm not hearing me as everyone else is. So
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I'll take it for the compliment it is.
A distinct voice. We're actually streaming live to the tri-state area as we speak, and my co-host is Beauregard. He is a host of the Irie Jam, and that's where we're streaming here now. And so yes, so everybody in the tri-state, apart from all those who logged on and who on the internet, tri-state hearing you loud and clear. So Beauregard, is there anything you want to say to our sister?
Certainly. Good afternoon, Pam Hall. How you doing?
Good afternoon. Big up yourself, man. And the whole I tri-state. Loving us.
Yes, indeed. Love you too. I heard you mention your brother being in music. I knew of your sister before, but now that I know of your brother, it tells me that music really runs deep in your family. The question is, how did they help you in developing your skills?
Well, as children, we would sing together, you know, and we'd harmonize, because everybody could sing harmony.
Right.
So I guess we sharpened each other, really, come to think of it. I never really, I still take it for granted that I never thought of it that way. So yeah, I think we helped to develop each other's talents.
Nice. And was there anyone else in the industry that might have assisted with that process?
Well, my musical appetite is voracious. So I have listened from a small child to a wide array of music and musical styles and stuff, which have also helped to develop me. And of course, there are individuals, but they're generally stronger than the individuals. But some of the individuals are like from Jamaica.
Yes.
Delroy Wilson. Delroy Wilson. Delroy Wilson. I love him. Love him. Love his style. Very soulful, you know?
Yes.
And I like Aretha.
Aretha.
I mean, yeah, man.
Oh yes, Queen of Soul.
Yep. Big things.
Okay.
But most of my enjoyment really and learning has actually come from instrumental music.
Really?
Yeah.
What about instrumental music?
Because I want to be the instruments too, and I'm trying to sing like the instruments. And stuff. Yeah.
Right. As you know, as you say that though, Pam, it reminds us that for those who want to sing, your voice is an instrument, and never forget that.
The first instrument.
First instrument. Okay, in the 1990s, you filled in for Sister Judy Mort in the I3s. Oh, my goodness. Remind us of what led up to this. Big shoes that in the palm. Remind us of, remind us of what led up to this and how you were chosen.
Okay. I don't know how I was chosen, but I have worked with these ladies. I've worked with them doing background vocals on other people's work, and I've worked with them doing background on their work. So they knew me very well.
Right.
So, on that professional level.
Right.
So I guess that's where it came from.
Okay, it's like a band man who know the whole of the tune them with the artists them are sing.
Right.
All right. So this always intrigued me. How long did it last? You filling in for that slot?
Let me see now. I have filled in for. I know we toured. I'm trying to remember when it was. We toured the US, and we've done a couple of individual shows, and even the Rise Up video.
Mm-hmm.
I had done harmonies on it separately, but when it came to the I3 spot, I was in the I3 in that too. So I'm in the video with them as an I3.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question before Beauregard comes in. Tell me, do I3s have a distinct look? Were you asked to pattern that look, or could you go in as Pam because you also have a distinct look?
Yeah. Well, their type of just tends to be more Afrocentric.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And yeah, man, I did my best to go there with that. I mean, I do just in that way sometimes, but not as much as them. They're more consistent with that type of dressing.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we were able to do okay, man.
All right, good. And memories?
No problem.
You have any memory? That must have been exciting. I mean, for someone like you, you're a woman, you're into music, and these are women who are at the peak of their career. Any memories?
Not specific.
Okay.
Let me tell you what I remember though. It's like in the last time I did touring with them was in 2012, I think. And I remember that Rita, it was like, Bob's wife, it's like the second coming. Bob Marley's wife. You know?
Go again. What you said?
The response of people around the world.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
Yes.
Oh!
Rita Marley. And it was like the second coming. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, Bob Marley's wife. Wow.
Oh, my goodness. How did that make you feel?
It was eye-opening. You know, I know that the Marley name, of course, led by Bob Marley. It's a big name. Mm-hmm. And I also know that I've had a response when, like, you know Bob Marley?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So Bob Marley's wife is like, big stuff.
Yeah, man. Big deal. Big deal. So you got a chance to witness firsthand how massive Bob Marley's name was around the world.
Yeah, you know? I mean, live and direct. I mean, we know it big.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But to actually see it like that, up close, seeing the response to the name. Yeah, that was very interesting.
All right. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, Beauregard will do the questioning. All right? So we soon.
Okay.
All right. Okay, it is now 1:48, and if you've just joined us, we have live online our Sister Pam Hall as we pay respect and tribute to women in reggae, powerful women in reggae. So, Beauregard?
It is truly a blessing to be a part of this interview today. Let me just say that first. And are there any young females in reggae that you admire right now, and do you have any advice for them?
I'm not going to name names, but I like several of those. young female artists coming up. I do. Advice I would give is to learn as much about the business, because it's a very, very complex business. It involves a lot of different areas, like the admin part of it, your rights, and, all those things. It's a continuous process of learning. I don't think there's anybody who knows everything about music business at any one time, because things keep changing. So I would advise them to learn as much as they can to empower themselves. Mm-hmm. I would also say learn another instrument. Mm-hmm. Unlike Pam, I can just barely panka, Can't help myself. But learn an instrument. It's a great tool for composing, and it adds to what you do as a singer, Mm-hmm. Right. And also, there's always a choice. When you look at any given situation, there's always a choice. And then from that, whatever choice you make, other choices come from that, which is what life is like, really. Mm-hmm. But always remember that you have a choice.
Following on Beauregard's question, as a Black Jamaican woman in reggae, looking back, looking forward, is there anything you would have done differently?
Oh, yes. Promotion.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I would pay more attention to that. I'm still trying to improve in that area. But in any business, the toughest part of that business is not making the product, it's reaching the market with it. Mm-hmm. So it's a vital part of any business, and most definitely for music.
Mm-hmm. I understand that well, because most people who are artistic or creative are not necessarily good at promoting themselves. So you would perhaps, right. I know you can't do that. You cannot do that for save your life.
I try, but I'm very poor. Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so you would, if you had to do it differently, you would get a team to help you more, right?
Yeah, but that type of thing was not really. I mean, we are getting more sophisticated now.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else, Beauregard?
No, that is all.
Okay, so that's just about how we close off. But I just want to say to you, Pam, I have known you for quite a while.
Been a minute.
This is, I mean, hear people at Trace, people are saying you deliver your yard. But me deliver your yard. Lord mercy. Thank God you never take it, tell me. But anyway, why?
Well, they need independent, so we can't throw not by you.
Anyway, so as a result of which, I got a chance to really know you. So I can say that I honor you as a beautiful woman, as a powerful voice in reggae. We honor you for your perseverance, your longevity, and one of the things I really want to honor you for, Pam, here at the Bridge, and of course the Untengle team, I honor you for your dignity, because you are from an era of women who being dignified was just not an option. You're just dignified. I honor you for that. And we also honor you and your great contribution to the genre that we call reggae, working with so many reggae artists, working with the music itself, the genre of reggae. We honor you, sis.
I thank you so much. I try to be dignified, but you don't want to see me at the stadium.
I don't care what you want to say. No matter what you do, have on, no matter how your hair look, no matter none of them things, you are a dignified woman. And I'm sure the business, the industry will remember you fondly for that.
Well, I thank you. I thank you so much. You and I can't say your name properly.
Too pretty, darling. Too pretty.
Beauregard?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes.
I got it. All
yes,
right.
you got it.
It's my musical air. You know me now, of course I'm right still, but
So now you have our link,
Yeah.
Pam, and whatever it is that you're working on, now you know how to pronounce the name. So whatever it is that you're working on, if you want to promote anything, please remember to put our names on your list, and we will certainly help you.
Most definitely. I thank you.
All right.
Sure, indeed. You're welcome.
Yeah, man. And once again, big up all the listeners. Love you.
All right, beautiful. So that was a lovely talk with our sister Pam Hall, and we pay tribute and respect to women, powerful women in reggae who people can actually look up to, and take a page out of their book, and that is definitely Pam Hall. So Beauregard, I want to say a very special afternoon to you and the Irie Jam listeners. Certainly hope you all enjoyed our sister Pam Hall.
We definitely did.
Nice, beautiful. So Thursday, all being well. Oh, by the way, we tried to get Mama Nancy to do. Oh, you're back! She back! That's Nikki. We tried to get Mama Nancy. I actually got Mama Nancy, but she's working on a documentary here now, and the contract that she has signed. Sometimes these contracts stop you from doing interviews. So she can't do an interview with us just yet, but she promised that as soon as she is made free to do it, she will have an interview with us. So just want to let our listeners know that Mama Nancy was definitely on the list of women that we want to honor.
We'll be looking forward to that. That's going to be a big one.
That's going to be a huge one. Man. So like you said, Beauregard, we're definitely looking forward to that one. So bless up yourself and bless up the Irie Jam listeners and viewers.
Same to you, Mama Kelly, and we'll speak again on Thursday.
That's right. We certainly will, most high willing, right?
Yes, you stay safe.
You too.
All right.
Want to say a very special big up to the listeners, always the listeners. You're doing a wonderful job promoting the Bridge 99 FM. Our listeners are doing the promotions for us. So we want to say thank you so very much. Want to say enough love to the Untangle team, Richard Rainford, Master Control Operator. We want to say enough respect to Romaine. Sajay. Sajay. Bless up yourself, Sajay. And of course, Nikki is standing by. I know when Nikki is in, that's how I know Nikki is standing by. So Nikki is standing by, and she's going to be doing the others later on.